Hey, tell people what you come in here on a regular basis for.
Well, we're hitting these words of the week, and it's been a big thing for us here. And like I said last week, we've got kids taking the SAT, and they keep coming back and reinforcing this by saying, hey, Coach, a lot of those words were on the test, so let's keep it up. So we're doing it. We're continuing to get these words off the work list of the SAT book and sending them out, and our teachers are jumping on board and putting them on their boards. And it's been something really big for us, and thanks to you helping us get it out on the region-wide, whether your website or the radio, it's really helped our community and our parents learn along with our kids.
Hey, guys, once again, if you want to see these, you can go to WJOB1230.com if you want to use them in your classroom, especially if you say maybe 7th grade on up. You can maybe use these. They're probably not going to work in the they're not going to work in the elementary school. They're a little bit beyond that because they are, of course, geared toward a junior in high school taking an SAT test. Klein is flying fine right now. Klein is moving along fine in both directions. Why don't we go through the words?
The first word is a repeat from last year. It's tedious. It means long and tiresome, dreary, or dull. And the definition is many of the Morton teachers are using innovative methods of teaching instead of giving tedious lectures that can lose the attention of our students. The second word is another repeat, and the reason why I got this one is because so many of our kids missed it when we quizzed them. Disposition, a person's natural outlook or mood, their temperament or character. The definition, Miss DeYoung's sunny disposition helps make Morton a fun place to learn. She's one of our new science teachers. She came over from Hammond High. The third word is plausible. This is a repeat from earlier this year, appearing truthful or reasonable. The definition, the plan to take 20 credit hours, work a full-time job, and play sports in college does not seem very plausible. The fourth one is a repeat from last year, daunting, discouraging through fear, intimidating or alarming. The definition, standing up to the neighborhood bully can be an extremely daunting task. And finally, the last word is a new one for us. We're trying to introduce one each week. Ambivalent, showing uncertainty or fluctuation, having mixed feelings, to be unsure about something. The definition, Aaron was ambivalent about taking anatomy with Mrs. Garrison because it seemed very interesting yet very difficult.
All right, 219-845-1100 if you want to talk to Roy Richards. Roy, let's go back to last Friday. You guys are what now, sitting at 6-1?
7-1.
7-1.
Right.
And you have one more game going this Friday before the tournament opens. Who is that?
Right. We've got Gavitt for our homecoming, and it's for the conference championship.
It's for the conference championship also, and that'll be at Morton on Friday. So what we're going to do, I'm going to take a short break, and we're going to look past. We're not that we're looking past this weekend or past Gavitt, but the big news is on Sunday night, as you heard here live on WJOB, as the pairings came out, and then we threw it over to the Region Sports Network for their talk about all that. It was really a nice night to be listening to the radio. The pairings for the football state tournament came out. We're going to review those with Morton football coach Roy Richards, 2011. Let's go to 5A first. We have Hammond Morton football coach Roy Richards. Let's look at this. This 5A sectional is a gunfight.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't use that. It is a Wild West kind of thing going on.
Yeah, part of the problem is, and it makes it interesting, is most of those teams have already played each other, and it's really the Duneland Conference with a team or two thrown in. So there's a lot of familiarity, but yet at the same time, and unfortunately for some teams, there's a chance to play each other week 8 or 9, have a huge win or a huge loss, and then have to come right back and play each other in week 10. And you see that right off the bat with Lake Central and Maryville.
And let's take a look at the top portion of the bracket there. First of all, you got Portage at Valpo. Valpo's got to be a pretty big favorite there. So then we go to Crown Point at Munster. Now, typically Crown Point would be favored in that ball game, but Munster is surging. Yes. They are your only loss,
right? And
you know what they have and the capability. They've lost a couple. They lost to Lake Central in overtime in the first game of the year. They've lost a few games they should have won, and now they're surging. Crown Point is still a solid football game. What do you see there?
I see the good thing for Munster, it's going to be on turf, regardless of where they're playing. They both have turf. And really, Munster, since our fourth quarter demise, where they really outplayed us in that fourth, they have played great football. the Griffith game was played on that rainy, kind of a lousy night, and it wasn't horrible, but there was a lot of footing problems. And Munster has turned into a little bit of a side-to-side team, so they're going to have good footing. I think Crown Point's size is going to be a huge factor in that game, and if Munster can negate that size, I could see them giving Crown Point a real hard time.
And so that would be, either Munster or Crown Point comes out probably to face Valparaiso. Valparaiso's still one of the better teams around, so either one of those teams is going to have a tough time getting by Valpo. Let's go to the bottom half, Chesterton, Michigan City, and then the big game, two of the powerhouses around here. They've already met, Lake Central at Maryville. It could be a big crowd number that night.
Yeah, I think it's going to be huge. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure where they played each other last week. I think it was at Maryville. I might be wrong. No, I think maybe it was at Lake Central.
We did Lake Central Maryville, right? No, we didn't. I think it was at Maryville too. Yeah.
But it's going to be on turf, and that's going to help Maryville a lot. It's hard to beat somebody twice. It's hard to beat them twice in 2 weeks, and so that'll be very difficult. Yet both teams emptied all their bullets. I hate to use that term, but they did to win the conference title. So it's not like anybody held anything back thinking, what if we draw these guys? And that's really the downside of playing week 8 before the draw. You don't know that you're going to face that team in 2 weeks, so you're going to do whatever you can to win. And then now they've got to come back and go to the drawing board and find something a little bit different, keep their opponent on their heels.
And Morton football coach Roy Richards in here. We're going through some of the sectional draws. Let's move on to Class 4A. You got Roosevelt and Hammond High. Hammond High should be able to get by that one.
Yes.
Roosevelt, they should be able to get by that. And then you have Hammond Clark at Griffith. Griffith, of course, a big favorite there. The thing to notice in the 4A is that you and Griffith are on opposite sides of the bracket. That doesn't mean that everybody gets a pass.
That's right.
And Griffith didn't make it last year, as we well know. Who'd they lose to last year?
Hobart.
They lost to Hobart.
Right.
That's right. So Griffith didn't make it, and you guys didn't get to play each other last year. But in that top half of the bracket, Griffith's got to be favored.
Yeah, it's been since 2005 since Griffith and Morton have been on the opposite sides. We've always played each other right off the bat or week 2. We have not played them in a sectional title since 2005. So it's set up that way, but it was set up that way to face each other in round 2 last year, and that didn't happen. So we're all very well aware of what can happen. Us playing West Side and then the possibility of playing the winner of Hammond or Highland and EC, that could be a game that could be a trick game if you're looking ahead. Griffith having to play Hammond High, I think that's the real interesting game of the sectional. Eric Schreiber is a Griffith guy, played at Griffith, coached at Griffith, and really runs the offense and defense very similar to Griffith. They're going to be playing each other week 2 if they both win their week 1 games.
And I hadn't even thought about that. Schreiber knows how to coach and play the wishbone, which makes you a pretty good opponent of the wishbone.
Absolutely. So that's going to be really interesting there, and obviously we can't be too interested in that because we're going to have a battle on our hands with the winner of EC and Highland. So I think not to overlook week 1, those matchups are okay. I think week 2 matchups in the 4A section are really cool matchups.
What about EC Central and Highland?
Yeah,
that's a great game.
No doubt about that. You're right about that. That to me is a coin flip. It's at Highland that helps Highland. It'll be on that high, slow grass that they have, and that slows you down. I remember we played at Highland earlier this year, and we just kind of looked at that grass and laughed and thought, boy, we better pick our knees up or we're going to be tripping over the grass.
And not only that, it's sloped because they want all the water to go off. It's like crested in the middle.
And the thing about Highland is they do a great job of preparing. Their coaches are really sharp, and they're always prepared, and they have a tough schedule. We saw that last year where they drew West Side and almost beat West Side at West Side. So I wouldn't look past that game if I was East Chicago. That's going to be a really tough win if East Chicago can come out of that one.
Roy Richards in the house. Be right back. We'll finish up with 3A, 2A, and 1A. Coach Roy Richards is in the house. We've gone through 5A and 4A. Let's go to 3A. The local teams could struggle here, and I'll go through the top part of the bracket. Wallace hosts South Bend St. Joe, and they're tough.
That's a really good team. They're a lot like Andrean. They really have no business being in the class they're in, and they both know it. it is what it is, and they've played a lot of 5A teams and 4A teams, and they've beaten most of them. So that's really a daunting task, to use one of our words, for Lou Wallace.
Gavitt goes to Glenn, and Calumet hosts another Catholic powerhouse in Mishawaka Marion.
Yeah, all three of those teams really have their hands full. And I know I've talked to Robert Robinson about their draw, and he even mentioned that there's some tough teams, and hopefully that his kids and their speed can help him out in that game.
All right, let's go to 2A. And is the championship of this 2A sectional on the first night with Wheeler at Andrean?
You know, I think record-wise and on paper, yes. To be honest with you, I just physically don't see how any of those teams are going to match up. You know, and Phil is just such a great coach that even if those kids were bigger and stronger, I think those teams would struggle. There's good coaching in that sectional, and that's going to help. That'll make that sectional interesting because of the good coaching. But Andrean right now is not just on a roll. They're just so much more physical than the teams that are on that sectional that they're used to playing. Wheeler has not seen a team that's that physical ever, and it's going to be a rude awakening. All
right, Wheeler at Andrean. Now, Phil Mason, coach at Andrean, he was at Clark. He's a good friend of yours. This is a pretty big game for the Andrean 59ers. Been on a crash course with Wheeler all season long. What do you think the atmosphere of this game is going to be like?
It's going to be huge. Remember now, Phil came to Andrean from Wheeler.
Yes.
And Phil was the head coach at Wheeler, and I know he's got a lot of friends there. And I think sometimes, no matter why you leave, the reason you leave or when you leave, it's always nice to play, to be matched up with the team that you left. And the atmosphere is going to be big. There's going to be something there to prove for Andrean. Wheeler has nothing to lose there. They've had a great year. They could go and compete really well if they pull off a win. Hey, that's a huge feather in their cap, and if they don't, then they're just going to have to get used to that kind of competition. But I think Andrean is going to try to make a statement saying that you guys, you can be 7 or 8 and 9 and 0, and you still haven't played our kind of football yet.
Now at 4A, you're one of the larger schools around, and you don't get to play a lot of these 1A teams. But let's look at this sectional also. In the top part of the sectional, Bishop Knoll is hosting South Newton, which is has had a decent year this year. Knoll's going to have their hands full.
Yeah, they have shown flashes of being a good team, but they really haven't put it together. And I know Mike is trying to see where he can tighten the screws down to put together a full team for 48 minutes. That hasn't happened right now. I know that's concerning to him.
Whiting is at West Central to open that up. It'll be 8 Eastern. They're actually in the Eastern time zone, and 7 Central. I don't think we're doing that game live, but we will have coverage of that game. Whiting's favored there, but it's always tough to go into that other time zone.
Yeah, it is, but if there is a team from our region that can do it, it's Whiting. And Jeff is a great coach, and those kids are used to that travel because their sectional has always been something like that. So I wouldn't count them out. I could see them coming back with a win.
All right, Roy Richards. Also, Roy, you have a T-shirt on.
Yeah,
right now.
It's a great T-shirt. I don't know if the viewers can see it, but it says Morton Gov we support our vets, and our office manager Athene Papp has jumped on our idea and has really run with it, and she got these shirts, and our faculty has purchased them, our coaches have them, a lot of the kids are getting them. You should see our building right now. It's our homecoming week, and the decorations to honor the veterans, to honor the armed forces is unbelievable. You can't believe how many decorations there are for the different branches. Our parade is going to have stuff from each branch, recognizing and honoring each branch of the military service, and it's been unbelievable. The people at Morton have jumped on. They really kept their eye on the ball, and they really realize what's important this year, being the 10-year reunion for the 9/11, that we are definitely taking care of letting people know how important it is. And this Friday night is our last home game, and it'll be our last game where we are honoring our veterans and collecting money for the families in the region that are sending people over. So please come on out. Any veterans that want to come right now, we have 3. Let us know. Email me. Let me know that you want to come. I'll contact you and get your information and bring you out on the field like we have been doing. It's been huge. We've been very proud to be a part of it, and we're honored to have them on the field. And last week we had a gentleman that is disabled, that is a veteran, and when he tried to stand up and did stand up for the national anthem, I mean, everybody on the field saw that, and you just got a huge lump on your throat. And That's what it's about. That's what America's about right now.
And once again, to all your veterans, I know a lot of guys are kind of humble and don't want to, don't want to be, want the accolades and so forth. And I can only tell you this: at some point, we understand all of that, but it's not entirely about you. It's also about the community coming together. And Roy would love to have a few more veterans out there. It doesn't matter what war, what time, whatever. They would love to have more of you walk out, especially on the final homecoming and on the. They've been doing this all year long, and on the final home game. So this is it. And do your part. Come on out and walk out on the field and show the Hessville community what it's all about.
Absolutely. I sure appreciate that. And
phone number?
My phone number, you can call me 219-989-7316, extension 6. That goes right to my office. You guys have my email. Just shoot me a call or an email and let me know you want to come. I'll contact you back, get the information. My wife will put you on the program, and we'll take great care of you. We promise.
R. Richards at?
It's R.R. Richards at hammond.k12.in.us.
And if you lose that email, you can go to WJOB1230.com and go to Words of the Week, and we'll have his email up at the bottom of this week's words. All right, Roy, thanks for coming in, and good luck this weekend.
Hey, thank you very much.